Greetings and welcome back, blade lovers. This old sword is with you, and today we have an automatic knife. This is one I've given a lot of thought to probably for the past year as to whether to get it or not, because I saw it in a local gun shop and didn't have a chance to handle it, but kind of looked at it through the showcase a lot, and then I read a lot of reviews about it, and an opportunity came to get one on loan to take a look at, and it's a brand new one, really brand new condition. This is the Autocrat. Almost forgot the name. This is the Autocrat by Benchmade. It's an out the front knife, deep carry clip, and the somewhat unusual construction of this knife is that it has G10 scales and an aluminum subframe. Very nice action, by the way. A little bit of gritty sound on the switch, but when you have like a coating against a coating when a knife is brand new, you do get that to a degree. So some nice detail work on the scales, just enough, I think, to give some good grip. It's an asymmetrical handle. It has the firing button on the side, much like most of the Microtech knives, although Microtech now has a few with the actuator on the flat side of the handle. But you can see it's asymmetrical. It's a little different on the bottom than on the top. Held together by, scales are at least held together by 6 screws on each side. As I mentioned, deep carry clip that is transferable to the other side so that the lefties can use this. And it's a nice clip that is one of Benchmade's better clips. It's more of like a blued clip, shall we say, than a coated one. The coatings on the Benchmade clips come off very quickly and pretty much look like hell. So I've had a few of those. So whenever possible I get this kind of clip, but this is stock with this knife. Pop it in and out a few times. You see a very slender blade of S30V with a fuller down the middle. Now, I've heard lots of little niggles and complaints about this knife from different reviewers and those who have responded to reviews, but an equal number or better of people that swear by the knife and like it better than the Infidel, which is an aluminum handled knife through and through with an actuator on the side. So first thing I noticed was that this is a what you probably would call a chisel grind. It's got the sharpening bevel only on one side, and on the other side nothing. But the other side is not flat as with a traditional chisel grind on, say, a Tonto. It is beveled, so we have what feels like, and most likely is, a hollow grind on both sides of the blade. I got black on black here, so a little bit difficult to see. Minimal branding. There is the white S30V blade steel marker with nothing else on that side, and the name of the company, Benchmade, on the left side of the knife. This one's in Desert Tan. It does come in OD green, and the original ones had a, I believe, satin finish blade or stonewash blade with a black handle and had some blue anodized screws and stuff like that, and I think the switch as well. So this is a little more muted, a little more business-like, a little more military, law enforcement, etc. Let's do some measurements on it so you know what we're dealing with. It's not a small knife at all. Its overall length is 8 3/4 inches with a blade length of 3 3/4 inches and a cutting edge just about the same, maybe a little shy of that, because we do have a sharpening choil in there. Taking a look at the thickness of the blade stock, it is a thin blade stock. We'll see if I can accurately get it here for you. It's like 2.2 millimeters. So quite thin. I do understand that S30V should hold up to a thinner blade, and it certainly makes it slicey, and a 0.59 thickness on the handle. And to get a weight on it, it is a lighter knife. And 1, 2, 3, here we go. So it is only a 3.93 ounce knife, under 4 ounces. For a knife that size, that is pretty impressive, largely due to the aluminum scales, the thin stock of the blade, and the G10, all of which contribute to a very light knife. Now, MSRP on this knife is, hold your hats, $480. And a lot of people had complained about that. There were some Black Friday deals back a year or more ago where they were going for more in the $250 range. To me, that makes more sense. Certainly Microtech knives are known to be very expensive, and I'll show you a Microtech in a moment that's a bit on the lower threshold of that range. But another issue which people complained about on some knives that they received, let's see if I can get this in focus for you. We're still trying. There we go. Was that the blade grinds were asymmetrical, that this grind line did not go right down the middle. Near as I can tell, this one doesn't have that problem. It does go right down the center. I'm told it's very difficult to get that perfect, but I think for the money they should. We'll take one more look at that, and I think you can agree that the line does go down the center. I have seen some pictures where it's shifted off to the side. You got a shallow fuller there, very narrow one. And the other issue being mentioned was that the knife went off track. So they would go to fire it, and it didn't go all the way out, and all that was necessary was to grab the blade and snap it all the way out, and then it would go back in the handle again. I probably fired this about 30-40 times, and 100% success rate. I've also seen that this knife is very strong in lock tests where they can pound it through wood, etc., and not get that blade to go back inside. Your experience may vary. Like they say, mileage may vary, you know, depending upon your use and frankly the copy you get. I've seen bad copies of knives way up into the upper hundreds that needed to be sent back and have the issue corrected. So far, I'm not seeing any of the problems with this knife. Now, let's do a quick compare. Here is my only Microtech out the front knife, the Dirac, or Dirac, however you'd like to pronounce that. Named after Paul Dirac, who is a physicist, by the way. You can look that up. This has an aluminum handle, the tri-wing screws, very class act looking, with a glass breaker on the end, very traditional Microtech clip, but it is a smaller knife, being only like 3 3/4 or thereabouts. Yeah, maybe actually like 3 7/8. I do like to get my measurements exact, so you have a good picture of it. Side actuating button on this one was one of the first to have it with Microtech, if not the first, other than some Marfione customs. And they are using CTS XHP steel on this one. Yep, XHP. So you are getting a more premium steel, arguably, on that knife. which I think is going for high 200s, something like that. So you've got a lot more money on that knife unless you're getting it at a discount. Now here's another knife in the high 200s. This is the Compound out the front knife by Hogue, and it is also using S30V for a steel. CPM S30V. It's an Lischwitz design. Interesting asymmetrical handle with kind of a Damascus camo look to the handle. I think it's the earth camo style. I'm not sure of the whole name. Long throw and a very strong spring on this knife, but it definitely snaps out with authority. And this has more of a utility blade, kind of a clip point utility. You can see the big variance in sizes here. This is the larger of the two non-Benchmade knives. And you can see where the blade's pretty close to the Autocrat, but overall length is a bit shorter. If we switch them around this way, the difference will be more prominent. Let's get it just a little closer. And there's the small knife of the bunch. So am I noticing the action or the quality any better on the Microtech? On this particular model, no. I do know that if I wanted to get a Combat Troodon, my local gun store was selling those for around $540, which is I think that is MSRP because you can't sell Microtech for under MSRP, so they tell me at the dealers. So comparable cost, a little more actually than the Autocrat, and I do like the action on the Autocrat as far as it's a good long throw, so you're not going to actuate it accidentally, but at the same time it's a little easier to move it in and out. The Compound is a little more difficult. Definitely got to put, I'd say, at least another third more strength into moving that switch with my thumb. Now, how do I feel about the chisel grind? I tried this out on some paper, and it will cut it. Certainly, it's not dull by any means. What they have given us here with this chisel grind is a thin and aggressive edge. This is not one of those smooth, polished edges. This grabs, this will cut. So I like it that way because if I have an out the front knife, I also want it to cut in a defensive sort of situation and in a utility situation. I want it to be able to cut things. Maybe I want to cut my food with it. Maybe I want to prep some food if this is all I got. Certainly not ideal because of the very short bevels on this knife, but they did give it a very fine and aggressive edge. And S30V, as I'm told, takes that kind of edge quite nicely. It'll also take a polished edge. So if I do keep this, whether or not I decide to work on the edge a little bit, it's likely going to be a freehand sort of an operation. Not too much you can clamp with this as far as KME goes or any of those kinds of sharpeners, or you may need to use a crock stick. I did see somebody use a one of those power work sharps from the Work Sharp company. There's a video on it doing this exact knife and resetting the bevels, the sharpening bevels. He did quite a nice job on it and was able to just barely touch this other edge, which I guess needs to be done, but anyway. You basically hope the edge will hold up because it's going to be a challenge to sharpen almost any double edge knife, but particularly one that's set up like this. So am I happy with the edge? Yes. For just about any kind of purpose, I am happy with that edge. And overall, I like the knife. If the price is right, I'll purchase it. And another look around. There's your aluminum frame. And there is your handle slabs. Again, you can get this in this desert tan, or you can get it in the OD green, your choice. I did see that the original model that didn't have the black blade or these handles is being discontinued. I did a quick check out at Blade HQ, and they got it for somewhere in the 300s. I'll try to put some links out there for you, should you be interested. If not, just consider that this is kind of a novelty review. Might be something you're interested in, might not, but it came my way, so I'm doing the big share. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe. See you soon.